What's poppin', my Freeform Renegades? You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I'm your host, Noel, with my co host, Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. Here in this podcast, finally cooled off, man. Today in the morning in the 70s, it was sweet, man. Went to church, it was nice, man. Not like these 80s and 90s we were hitting, so definitely a pleasant change.
Most certainly. And we got Andy here as well.
It's all good, Andy. Recovering from summer cold or something. Kicked my ass about a week and a half ago. I'm up. I'm pretty good now. I just a little bit of congestion here and there, but yeah, it's like lingering. It doesn't want to go away, and nothing's worse than a summer fucking cold.
Oh, I agree with that, man. But thankfully, weather has gotten a little better. It's a nice day here in Chicago. Wherever you listeners are, we hope you're feeling cool and relaxed. And we're going to get started with this. Let's go over to Daniel. And so, Daniel, it looks like you went back to school shopping for junior.
Yeah, man. Junior school's finally going to start in a few weeks, and what's weird about this year is for the actual supplies, as far as pencils, papers, and whatnot. It says we have to wait until the teachers give them some kind of sheet. Now he just is going to start high school, so I don't know if it's like just bring whatever and we'll make it work kind of thing, or if it's like this massive list. Because I'm used to all his other grades. They give him a list that he needs, 20 number 2 pencils, 5 erasers, blah blah blah, and it's just a list of stuff you got to bring. But I don't.
Real quick, I did bring this up to my wife, Dan, who's a teacher. She said for high school, it's exactly what you said. Once you're depending on your class, they'll let you know what you need, because depending on the class, like math, or you might need that calculator,
protractor or something, right?
Protractor, triangle, whatever. Or they might require you to use a special pen for English, and they'll let you know. But there's not like a massive list, like get this regardless, but
Right. I kind of figured so, just because I know in the other grades that he was in, it was kind of like a communist shit where they put like this community pile of stuff where like bring in 5 packs of paper and we're going to throw it in this huge stack, and it's everybody's paper. And I never liked that. I never liked that, because I always bought Junior some good pencils and pens. It was some good shit, man. I didn't buy him that generic stuff. I got him the Superman ones or the Spider-Mans or the whatever thing he's into. And then just to hear that, just throw him into some huge pile. I don't want some other kid taking my good pencils. But anyways, I kind of think it's probably like you mentioned. They're probably going to be a little more lax. Like, all right, bring what you typically use. All you need is X, Y, Z, and you're good. So yeah, the other things that we started is his gear, his book bag last year. We bought him a good one, that Swiss backpack company. What's the name of it? Swiss
Tech.
Yeah. Is that the one with the cross? It has like a red cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We bought him one of those, which was kind of expensive, but I know they're good backpacks and they last a long time. So it's still in really good condition. So he's going to use that again this year. But he did need new shoes because, man, this kid is growing. He's like stretching big time. And his shoe size got bigger as well. So we had to go out shopping for new shoes. And we went yesterday to that. I don't know if you guys have ever gone to it, the Prairie Outlet place right in the border, Wisconsin, Illinois.
Pleasant Prairie? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And, dude, I don't know what recession people are talking about or what high interest rate people are talking about, because it was packed, man. It was just like people elbowing each other for J's and everything, man. It was nutsos, man. But yeah, we went into a few stores. Junior ended up settling in the Nike store and picked out his second pair of Jordans, which
damn, Danny, how many Jordans do you own in your life?
0, man. I have had 0 pair of Nike Jordans in my life. And while we were waiting in line, I'm letting Junior know this fact, and he's just like, "Well, why don't you buy some, Daddy?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not spending $120 on a pair of shoes." And then I'm not sure if even the 120 that I was seeing was because of his size, because he is like a 7'8". he's like on that border of outgrowing the kid sizes, and he's moving into the men's. Um, and I don't know if my shoe, like if I usually wear like an 11, would my price be even more? I don't know, but yeah, I think I'm past that. I don't
I,
really need Jordans. I don't really like thrive. I don't need them, so it doesn't call to me.
I see your dad just shaking his head when he said that price, like 120. Like, just go to Payless and put these on and run, see how they feel. Let's get out of here. $10.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. Kind of tell him that my dad would never take me shoe shopping. He would basically buy them and kind of give them to me and be like, here are your shoes for the year. And that's what I had. And it wasn't until I got older that he did start taking me, but it was definitely not, here's the entire wall. Which one do you want kind of thing. It was like, here are the three that I'll buy you. Pick the one you want, and that's the one you would have. But yeah, man, we ended up getting the shoes. They actually, the outlet store, the pricing wasn't too bad. And then they had a deal where if you signed up to the Nike app, they gave you 30% off. So we ended up coming out where the shoes weren't that bad. And now he's got his shoes for gym.
Which ones did he get? What Jordans? I mean,
Uh,
I look at them once in a while. And if I gotta be like a really nice shoe for me to even get one, and like I got a price point in my head. But what number or what are they, like even high tops, or what? Which ones did he get?
yeah, they're either mid or high tops. I don't know where the edge is for that, but they're called auras or aquas or something like that. I'm not a Jordan connoisseur of Jordan shoes, so I'm not really sure all the funky names. All I know is that the flying man is on there, and it's got Jordan's name at the bottom. So they're Jordans, but they look nice.
Oh, the aqua tones.
They're aquas. They're like, it's like a red trim, and the rest of it is black. It's actually a pretty sharp shoe. When we first walked in, there was like two of them that really caught my eye, and surprisingly, those are the two that really Junior wanted. And I think the base price was like 120, if I remember right. And then after the discounts, we got them for like 80 something. So not bad. And he's got his shoes. So he had Jordans last year. That was his first year with Jordans, and I think he really enjoyed them. Probably because he got to show them off with his friends, or got to hang out with the Jordan Club, whoever else has Jordans at school. But yeah, next is clothes shopping, which for that he's not too picky, so it shouldn't be too bad. He usually just likes plain clothes, like plain blue shirts, red shirts, green shirts and stuff like that, black shirts. And not too many things with logos or insignias or like these crazy graphic tees or anything like that. Those Ed Hardy shirts, that's definitely no for Junior. So
It's like, yeah, Dad, I want an Ed Hardy shirt with the skull.
yeah, I know. No, he wants a plain shirt, no big graphics on it.
So let me ask you this then. He's going to high school, right? So
Right,
is
freshman.
he asking for like colognes or anything like that yet?
His grandma works for Mary Kay, so she's always giving him colognes, and the few that we've given him, like when he was really big into John Cena came out with a cologne. So we bought him that one, and since he doesn't really put it on too much, he still got a lot of those. But he is definitely being more mindful. You could tell that his brain is evolving to what other people think, because he is more hygiene conscious and shaving, cleaning, and making sure that he looks right. So he's definitely moving from that kid to teenager really quick, and he's becoming a little man right away. So should be fun. Probably finish up school shopping next week, and then we'll wait until orientation or first day to find out what other stuff he may need.
Hey, man, I got graphing calculators for sale. If you're interested, let me know, man.
Nice, man. I'll get that.
Even though one is pink, though, okay?
I get that freeform radio discount. Yes,
I'll hook it up. The pink one, yeah, I can hook it up.
Okay.
The black one's pricier.
But jumping into something else, man. Not sure if you guys saw it, but they had a documentary. I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes. American Gladiator on Netflix. really cool documentary. It goes into how American Gladiators was created. Goes into a lot of the people came back to do interviews as far as the main core, maybe like the first 12 gladiators before at the very end when they just started bringing in anybody, phonics, and they just bring in some guy that was muscular, and it's just like, who is this guy? Now they brought in like the legit, like first dozen legit gladiators, and it was actually a pretty good documentary. They went into a lot of the back history, even the parts with like steroids, drugs, alcohol, about the sexual tension between the gladiators and even the contestants, and it was a really good documentary that brought a lot of nostalgia back to me because watching that when I was a kid, I was kind of enamored with it just because it had hot girls and it had combative sports because I was a wrestling watcher back at that time. So it was really cool. You used to watch it, Andy, or did you even like
Yeah,
that
I
show?
watched it. I mean, as a kid, late '80s, early '90s, I remember seeing it on locally, like Channel 60 or something on the weekends. Um, and then even when they did the reboot about a decade ago, I watched some of that. Now, did you know there was two documentaries made at the same time? The Netflix one, and I think ESPN did one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 30 for 31, and I forgot which one the owner worked with. I don't know if it was the Netflix one or the ESPN, but I know there was two at the same time being filmed.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess if I had to take a guess, this one is probably not the TV show version, just because they do talk a lot about drugs,
Yeah,
steroids, and kind of them getting into fights and how this attitude got in clash with this attitude, and there was a lot of that. So I would be surprised if the network was behind this and kind of pushing this
yeah.
official history documentary thing.
Like I remember, I know on YouTube they have a live channel where they show the original shows, and during the like last year, I found out about. I watched a couple of them, but I do remember like it was hard hitting and shit like that, and people would get messed up. And then on top of it, the one where they shoot you with the tennis balls. Like I
Right.
used to love that thing, and it was just like crazy back in the day.
Did you ever watch it, Noel?
So when it came out, I think I was a little too young to watch it or to really like remember it that well. At least I do vaguely remember probably watching it with you and Saul or something, just a couple of
Right.
times here and there. As an adult, I didn't watch the documentary or anything, but I did see a couple of clips, a couple of like trivia things. Like for example, one of the guys, I forgot what his name was, but he was in the movie Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He played
Right.
Mataro.
Right. Yeah, that I think that's actually the Malibu, and that's the guy that quit because he got a concussion, and he quit, and all the other gladiators were kind of busting his balls about, and this guy's weak and this and that. They really get into it in this Netflix documentary, so really
Damn.
cool if you guys are interested in something like that. Um, but it was one of the better Netflix recent documentaries, and I see they got a couple of other new ones. So those are the kind that I like, man. Especially stuff that I recall when I was younger. Those always get like a nostalgia pop for me. And then just real quick, just to wrap up this movie, man, because I've had it on my talking thing for a while, but I haven't talked about it. The Capone movie that came out in 2022. I don't know if you guys ever watched this, but it's got Hardy, the guy who was Bane. What the hell is his first name? Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy.
Tom
Yeah.
Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah, he plays Capone, and I've never seen Capone in this angle that they played in this movie, but it shows a lot of how he came up, and then it also shows a lot of the very end when he ended up getting sick, and then he actually started like shitting himself and kind of losing it, and kind
What?
of
Oh man, it's
like his
blasphemy.
like his head started going away where he started losing sense of reality, and I was just like, what are these guys, is this like a parody thing? And I started googling it, and sure
He
enough,
had
man,
syphilis.
he had syphilis, and it caused his brain start like having issues with memory and talking and whatnot, and then he started losing the ability to control his bodily functions and stuff like that, man. It was really nutsos. I never saw Capone in that angle, just because he seemed like this little guy, but he had like this big gusto and this big presence that I never saw him in that angle. So it was a really unique angle to see him, or at least vulnerable in that way. And I don't know how much of it was more drama and stuff like that, and it wasn't true to life, but definitely a different angle that I had never seen for the Capone movies. So very interesting. So anybody wants to see some a different side of a Capone instead of just the Valentine massacre and the typical stuff that they show Capone. Really, really cool. Well, not great movie, but it was a good movie. And what was most unique was this different angle. Did you see it, Andy, or did you even know about
No,
this?
I heard about it. Yeah, I think it didn't get that great reviews.
Right,
So, and then the other thing, like growing up in Chicago, in Chicagoland, and me and you, like maybe Noel saw some of it. When we were growing up, like there was all this Capone stuff around Chicago, right? Like
right.
restaurants and
Mm-hmm.
tours, and like it's slowly like just all that went away, and it's not as big as it used to be. I don't know. They're trying to get away from that image with all the stuff that's going on in the city right now, and yeah, and then lately, yeah, they did the uh Capone was like big in Boardwalk Empire, right? And then
Right.
this movie, and then the Untouchables back in the day with Elliot, with Kevin Costner and De Niro. So I think and Boardwalk Empire kind of reminded people like how he was or what he did back in the day. But like I feel like the last decade, like the restaurants closed down. I don't know if they still have the tours, and like that era of Chicago. Like I think people they want to forget about it because it was a big part of the city. I mean, as a kid, you
For
saw
sure.
like merchandise and all this stuff everywhere you went, Capone and cigars and like ashtrays and like shot. Like you don't see none of that stuff no more.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, after watching the movie, I also went onto YouTube to see if they had any documentaries. And
Uh,
there's a lot of it that
yeah,
is connected to like Melrose Park,
yes,
even Franklin Park was
uh-huh.
mentioned. So he was out here in the suburbs too. So it was kind of nuts to see some of that old film footage of some of the neighborhoods that I was familiar with. So really cool. Have you heard about this movie, Noel? Or
I've heard about it. I haven't watched it yet. But I've heard good things. Tom Hardy's a pretty decent actor, so yeah. I haven't really watched it though.
But yeah, man, interesting watch, something different. Definitely worth a watch if you're interested in a different aspect, especially if you're in the Midwest here. I'm sure everybody's heard of Al Capone. But Andy, jumping on to you, man. How's the house hunting going? I know it's on your hit list, something to try to do this year. How's it go?
Well, you know how it is, Dan. And when you did your recent, house hunting, me and the wife, we got the kid now. He's 13 months, um, and we're gonna try maybe have another one. We'll see how that goes. But we need a bigger house. We're not in a rush, but we do have some criteria of like what we're looking for, and you know, schooling, location, school, and price. And the two areas that we kind of came upon of, uh, it's the suburbs, Elk Grove Village and Schaumburg. And wow, man, it's when I've purchased houses in the past, I've purchased homes twice, and I've never the experience I went through was nothing like how this market is right now. Um, I am shocked with the higher interest rate, with inflation and everything, how fast these houses are going for in the locations that we're looking at, and it's been kind of we're kind of taken aback by it how quickly all this happens. And I don't know. I mean, we're in no rush, but it is. it's been surprising to say the least, because we went to look at two houses that we really liked and met our criteria. The price point was where we needed to be, and they sold. We went to see them on a Saturday, and by Monday they were sold, and they weren't even. They were sold for more than list price, and I was like, wow. And and we tell the realtor, like, I don't want to get into a bidding war. She's like, then just put in your best price, because this is going to get multiple offers on both properties that we saw.
Wow.
And yeah,
So if they're like asking for 200, people are dropping like 240 on it.
yes.
Wow. Nice,
So the
man.
house, the first house we went to see, um, it was 330, and it was a little bit smaller. I wasn't like, me and the missus were like, yeah, I need some update. It's too price. And she goes, oh, it's gonna get multiple offers, so put your best price if you're interested. And like, oh, I can't even lowball them or anything. She goes, no. And there was a ton of people there. I mean, I think it sold for like 350, and they were asking for 330. And then the other one we saw was 350. It was moving ready. It was a little bit bigger. She told us, yeah, if you put an offer in, don't pay more than 360. And I'm like, 360? We gotta pay more? And she goes, yeah. And she goes, yeah, they just after we left, I kind of liked it, but I'm like, I felt like I was gonna, we were overpaying at 350. And she goes, oh, by the way, if you're interested, I need to put an offer in by like Sunday afternoon or something. And then by Monday, yeah, they already took a best offer. Like, it's probably like $10,000 more. And I was just like, shit, man. And I told my wife, look, we're in no rush, but like where we're looking at, that's just the way it is, location, location, location. And I know
Right.
me and you talked about it with your house. Not that they were pressuring you or anything, but they're like, oh yeah, put in your best offer, like put more than what you think it is or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna get into a bidding war for this. Like, I have a price point in my head, and it's not that, or I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
Right. When I was looking at houses by like the Lake in the Hills area, right? That's the suburb up
Yeah.
there in the north. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking up there, and two houses that I saw up there, that's how the real estate agent was that was showing it off, because there were like open houses or whatever. And the lady would be flat out. She was like, I got two bids. If you're planning to try to haggle with this person, forget about it. Where I was like, I'm just being upfront, so not waste your time. You gotta enter the offer or more, otherwise it's not even going to be considered. And some of these were nice houses, but I was just like, I'm not gonna. First of all, I was a little over what I was looking to pay. So to begin with, I'm like, the only way we would even take this house is if we were to able to haggle the price lower. So since that wasn't even an option, I was just like, well, forget it. Let's get out of here. But yeah, even with this house, the market was kind of hot at the time, and they told us the same thing. The real estate is like, I suggest you put his offer or more. He's like, yeah, put in another 10% or 20. And my wife really wanted to do it because she liked the house, but I was just like, no way, I'm gonna lowball them 10%. And everybody was really afraid we were gonna lose it, but luckily, the guy bit because he was in the middle of trying to buy another house, so he was looking to unload it as quickly as possible. So it ended up working out for us. But yeah, I know the feeling, Andy, of kind of having a price in your head and then kind of having to go over that to get
Well,
something you
yeah.
really like.
So we can see after like some of that, we've been looking for like just looky loos. We haven't really seen anything on on the app, and you could see when it's contingent. And then if you save it like a month later after closing, a month and a half, you could see what it's sold for, and it's always more than the fucking listing. It's always more for the areas we're looking at, and I'm like, fuck. And we went to look at too. Like I said, it was like I liked it. I just like, I feel like I'm overpaying even at the price they're asking for. And then she's like, they're gonna get, basically saying they're gonna get multiple offers. It's like, if you want this house, you shouldn't pay more than this price, which was $10,000 more than that they were asking. I'm like, no fucking way, dude. Like, this is not even. It's not even like that big of a house. So I'm like, and then like I said, like today we found the house. It's not in the area we want. It's a couple towns south of here. And the schools is great. The price point is a great. It's a big house. It's like definitely an upgrade. It's a 4 bedroom, 3.5 bath. It's a massive property. What I'm nervous about is the original listing price was like 400,000. Right now it's at 350 or something. And I'm like, they just keep lowering the price. So like to me that means they're eager to sell. It does need, from the pictures I saw, it does need some updating. So I was telling my wife like maybe we could lowball and tell them 340, and then maybe we'll get it, and then maybe they just want to unload it, and then it's and then we can start upgrading. I mean, it's stuck, like I was telling you, it's stuck in like in the 90s. There's still carpeting in every room, and like nobody does that anymore. The cabinets are like that old school, like light wood. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, once you say like, oh, this reminds me of houses I saw growing up. Um, the bathrooms, they are decent. I mean, they're operational. They're good. It just needs some updates, but it's moving ready, and I'm thinking like long-term value. I'm looking at the houses in that area, what they sell for. I'm just like, okay, like yeah, we can make this happen. So before I jumped on, I was talking to my wife. We messaged the realtor and see what the deal is with that house, and it's not my ideal location, but long term, the value that you're getting for that type of property is what intrigues me. And then on top of it, the school and that township are great, because that's another thing. The schools where I live right now are not exactly the best. They don't got great reviews. They don't have a good track record. And the ones where that town is, it's a lot better than here. And that's one of the reasons I'm like, all right, let's look at it.
Right. The good part is that your son is just a little over a year. So really, if you wanted to think about it, you got like 4 good years to really shop for something before he even starts schooling. But yeah, if the iron is hot and there's a good opportunity, it's definitely something you should move in on.
Well, yeah, that when you went through it and stuff like that, and like when you do all this, it's just like something you gotta feel. Part of it's like feeling like, yeah, this is it. Sometimes you're like, like I can make it work, but you're not exactly like wowed by it. And that's like the last 2 properties that I saw, like we actually went to see. Like I like the area, like the house. It was definitely an upgrade from what we got now, but I was just like, I wasn't like, man, I feel like I'm overpaying here for what I'm getting. Like I liked it, but I had a price point. It should be at this price. And some of the analytics, when you look at it, like the low, medium, high, and all that, kind of reinforce what I thought is just the fucking market is hot right there, and they've done some upgrades, and that's what you get. Yeah, like you're paying for those recent upgrades.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I think it's an exciting time house shopping, but to me, the part that I dreaded that kind of offset some of that was just thinking about moving, man. Are you prepared to pack everything up and move it?
Not really. I think yeah, that's the part that sucks, and I hate moving. Like I moved as an adult. I think I moved like 3 times, and it sucks. So
Right.
it is what it is. But we're gonna keep searching, and like I said, it's a process, and it just gotta feel right, man. I know the location's a big thing for me. So, like I said, I want to see what it is. I'll go look at that, but I still, ideally, I want to move um, closer, go a little bit back east. But I'm just shocked the pricing that I'm seeing for the houses that you get. And we'll see how it goes. And it just gotta keep shopping, and then the moving sucks, and then like I think once you make an offer, it gets kind of real. So, and then the price commitment, and then also the house. What we're doing now, that's another thing. Like we kind of decided to rent it, and like that's a whole nother, not a headache, but it's gonna be issues that are gonna arise when you deal with certain people, and you know what I'm saying. Like that's a whole nother thing, because you're gonna kind of depend on this income here to pay for that house. You know,
Right, right. No, for sure. It definitely is brings a new aspect to managing and dealing with the house.
because that that AMC stock, man, we saw that initial bump and then fucking it shot it back down. You know, I was like, man, this bitch can pay this house off if it goes over fucking $12, man, but they won't let it. So I keep watching videos on that short squeeze. The mother-in-law short squeeze is coming, but it ain't fucking happening. And then crypto right now is booming too. Um, it just won't happen. I don't know, man. Maybe when Biden's out, that all that shit will bump up. I don't know.
Yeah, there's hope for that for sure. I don't think he's gonna make it for the another term, dude. There's no way. So, whoever's in
Well,
office, man, hopefully we get some, relief on these taxes and all that shit.
that's what I'm saying. As you get older, that's all you think about is financial shit. And like I'm thinking about the house, and I'm thinking like, man, if this fucking couple stocks I got to do a lot better, it'll give me some relief. But that shit is just like it won't happen, especially with the AMC stock that we've been fucking around with forever. And I'm like, I mean, I was thinking about it the other day when I texted you, Dan, like when that fucking thing was going through the roof. I'm like, man, like the holding is gonna pay off shortly, and then they just fucked with it. They knocked it back down, you know. And yeah, because I don't know if you have AMC stock no more.
I did at one point. I sold it a while back.
Damn, bro,
Yeah,
damn, man. It's cool, I guess. When me and Danny got our Lambos, we'll let you know.
for
But
sure.
yeah, man, we're hoping that takes for a better turn, and then I could lessen some of my anxiety about house buying, and we'll see what happens. But let's go on to you, Noel. I think you watched the movie that I kind of want to check out just because of all the cameos. That Flash movie, even though people are saying it like well, it kind of bombed, but I do want to check it out just on the cameos alone. And I know they did a lot of reshoots. What are your thoughts on it? Did you like it or is it eh?
Going into it, I was already kind of skeptical if it was going to be worthy of watching. Like, there was just so much controversy surrounding the main actor that it kind of gave me like, what is it called? Like, it turned me off. I was like, I don't want to support, what he stands for and what he's bringing to it. But there was so many other reasons to watch it that I was like, you know what, man, let me just see what it is, see how it is. And it surprised me. It was actually pretty decent. Um, I would say give it somewhere in the area of like a 6.9. It's about a 7. Like it had the nostalgia, going into it. I already knew that Michael Keaton was going to reprise his role as Batman, and that was probably the saving grace of the movie was that he did such a good job bringing that character back to life that it was I forgot about everything else for a moment, and I just enjoyed seeing him as Batman again. And it was cool seeing like the old Batmobile, the old the plane, whatever you want to call it, and um, it was cool too. Like just the way they played out the story. It wasn't the typical Flashpoint that I was expecting. It was definitely different. And they did have some strange cameos that I was like on the fence about. Like I was like, I don't know if I would have done it that way, but I'm sure other people will enjoy it. Like, not to spoil things, but like I'm sure you already know the gist of the movie, what it's going to be about. It's Flashpoint, which I mean, I think you guys read comics, so you guys would know that it's when Flash changes the past and it kind of ruins the multiverse and splits things off. And so anyway, there's a bunch of different versions of Superman and Batman and all this stuff. And so you get to see a cameo of Christopher Reeve as Superman. You get to see well, it's like a CGI, and it actually didn't look that great, man. Unfortunately, some of the CGI they used towards the end of the movie, where they really do like a lot of the cameos, it kind of looked bad. Like, and there was one with Nicolas Cage, and he has like this long hair, looking like Superman. That looked kind of cool, but because I know Nicolas Cage is like 70 years old or whatever, I'm like, this isn't. It's so CGI, kind of
Well,
like. Uh huh.
you know the premise of that long-haired Superman, right? Like he was supposed to do that movie.
I know he's a fan of it. I know he's wanted to do it, but like, I just don't think he would really be that great of a Superman. I don't see him as that. Like,
He was gonna do that movie with Tim Burton, and then they kept rewriting scripts, and then they got all fucked up, and they never did it. There's a whole documentary about it too.
I mean, I guess it would have been cool to see, but I just I don't associate Nicolas Cage with Superman. I don't think he would be the right actor for it.
Yeah, I mean I
But
agree. Yeah,
yeah, he's just never been like a really like strong built guy. He's been like average, just averagely built, you know. So he's a taller guy, but I don't know. I think they hit the nail on the head with Henry Cavill. I think that was like the best casting in a long while, and it's unfortunate they got rid of him. He didn't even show up in the movie at
I
all.
thought he did. I thought I read somewhere, or they did shoot some scenes with him, but I think they cut it off or something because
Huh.
the breakup was bad. I read that somewhere, so there might be some deleted scenes somewhere.
I will have to wait for that 4K special.
Yeah, they did a lot of reshoots, and I heard they did a lot of cameo. They shot some stuff, but I think it was just been re-edited and reshot so many times. They just left a lot of shit on the cutting room floor.
I believe it. It did seem like there was like it seemed kind of disjointed because they start showing Iris West in the beginning of it, which is supposed to be like kind of the girlfriend of Flash or whatever. It's kind of giving that hint like, oh, they're interested in each other, whatever. They have a crush on each other, but it just seems like they didn't really like they were focusing on so many different things that nothing was really finished. Like whatever story they were trying to tell, it didn't seem like it finished because they were focusing on like, let's start this, little angle, then this angle, then this angle, and it's nothing ever wrapped up in that area, which is fine. Like I don't really care much about all that romance shit in the story. Like it didn't seem necessary. But because they started off with it, I was like, well, what happened with that? And I was like, whatever, forget it. But they also don't show much of the rest of the Justice League. You get to see Gal Gadot for a bit as Wonder
Yeah.
Woman in the start,
Mhm.
and then they kind of make just a lot of jokes and stuff and make Batman look like stupid. And I was just like, all right, whatever. So the Ben Affleck, like, it was kind of funny, but it was just, I don't know. It didn't seem necessary. That I guess they see Flash as like the comedy. Maybe they're trying to make him like the Deadpool of the DC
Yeah.
universe, but
Yeah. Exactly.
I just see him as like this quirky, weird, autistic person. Like, I don't know, man. It wasn't the type of Flash that I would prefer, but ultimately, like I said, Michael Keaton in it was the saving grace. I thought he was really cool the way they used him in the role, and he did have more scenes than I was expecting. He had more action than I was expecting, and the end result of the full movie like was actually really cool. There was a pretty big battle scene, and yeah, I would say I recommend it to people to watch once it comes out, maybe on like Blu-ray or 4K or whatever streaming service.
Maybe even a director's cut that has all these scenes that maybe got cut out. Maybe that'll seem more conducive and more connected versus, like you mentioned, the plot was kind of jumping around. Maybe it's because it's missing these scenes that go in between.
Yeah, we'll find out. Hopefully they include the deleted scenes, but yeah, it was all right. I don't regret watching it or anything. It was a little longer than I was expecting. It's over 2 hours, but no big deal. When you get a chance, give it a shot. And another thing I watched, I actually watched two movies yesterday. I went to the theaters. It's been a while since I've been in the theaters, and so when I watched The Flash, I watched it on a different streaming site that I have. But the two that I saw in theaters just yesterday actually is two horror movies back to back. First one just came out recently. It's called Talk to Me. It's gotten actually really good reactions from the people, especially if you're into horror movies. It's gotten like a really good original story that its concept itself is just it's pretty cool to see it explored in that way. To kind of give you a quick summary, Talk to Me is about this embalmed hand that a bunch of teenagers will take to a party to kind of do this it's almost like a seance kind of thing where they all gather around, they light a candle, and just one person will go up and sit next to this hand. It's a embalmed cut off hand with like a bunch of like weird like writing on it that looks like some weird like satanic mysticism type shit. And then what you're supposed to do is grab the hand, hold it like a handshake, and then say, "Talk to me." And when you do that, you connect with like the spirit realm, and you're open to like either spirits or demons appearing. And after you say, "Talk to me," you're supposed to say that they can go into you or whatever. And so when you do that, then that's when they actually possess your body, and the longer you hold on to the hand, the more of a connection they have to you. So as soon as they do it, it's not like it happens only once in a while. It happens every time you do it. So these kids are doing it like adrenaline junkies, and like they get drunk at a party and they just like recording each other on their phones and seeing who gets possessed the worst, and it's just fucking weird, but really cool. And obviously it's only a matter of time before it goes like too far, because the thing is they have like a timer. So if you have it for 90 seconds or less, there's really not much harm that can come to you. Typically it's just you start acting like, possessed, acting all messed up like the exorcist, but they it does happen in one occasion where they go over the 90 seconds, and it's pretty horrific. So that's Talk to Me. I would recommend it. I'd probably give it, honestly, it was like a 7.5 in my book. It was really interesting.
Was it low budge or was this did it look good, well produced?
Yeah, yeah, it was well produced.
Okay.
The effects were great. A lot of blood, a lot of stuff, and it was actually really tense. Like you felt the tension. Um,
I
I don't
never
know.
heard of it, but I just Googled it and saw the picture and like a quick like flash image that was rotating around, and it looks kind of weird, man. You see the guy shaking the palms or the thing's hand thing from the Adams family, and it just like starts, like you could see the guy getting like possessed, and it's just like holy shit.
Yeah, man, it is wild. It is wild, and I would recommend it. I don't want to spoil it, so that's where I'm going to leave it for that. And then just a quick thing to catch up on, Insidious, the second movie that I saw that day, yesterday. Insidious Red Door. It's been about, I want to say like maybe 5, almost 10 years since the last movie. At least it feels that way. They've had 4 movies in total, and then this would be the fifth. And I don't know if you have you seen the Insidious movies,
No,
Dave?
I tried to watch the first one, and like 15 minutes into it, Alana's just like, I can't watch this. This is too freaky. And so we stopped. So we didn't keep finishing it. But
Oh
it looks
man.
it looks really intriguing. It looks kind of good. But no, I've never seen it.
Oh man. What about you, Andy?
I have not, man. I think I heard of the first one, but I'm not into horror. The only closest thing to horror I'll watch is maybe like it. That's it.
All right, all right.
Yeah, Andy was going to the theaters yesterday, but to watch the Barbie movie.
Feels like, oh shit,
Well, you
Marty,
you
huh?
highly recommended it. Then you said that nostalgia thing really made you feel good.
Uh-huh.
Nah, man. Yeah, it's a good movie. If you're into horror movies, definitely check it out. Both of them I liked. Insidious, it still has the same cast and crew, just older, and it was kind of cool because the first movie deals with a kid who goes into a coma, and while he's in this coma, spirits are trying to possess his body, and his father can astral project, and his father goes into this shadow realm trying to find his son, who's like lost his way, can't get back to his body, and he's trying to defend them from these demons. And so throughout the whole movie series, I think the first two focus on the family. The third and fourth are more focused on a few other characters that are in the series of the first two. And then this fifth one kind of brings it back to it's kind of like the cap on the trilogy of the first two. So the first two deals with the family, and the fifth one wraps up what ended with the second movie. So it was cool to see the family again, see the kids grown up, and just kind of one more jump into this, spiritual demonic realm. It was intriguing to see. I'd probably give that one maybe about, like a 6.9. It was definitely worth watching. I'm a horror fan. I would watch it again once it comes out on 4K. But if you're not a horror fan, skip it. But if you're a horror fan and you've seen maybe the first two Insidious, definitely watch number five, which is Red Door.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. To catch up on the week. I love horror stuff. I love supernatural stuff, and this recently there's been a lot of stuff coming out with UFOs and aliens and all that, and so that kind of leads into our article of the week. So for this week, it's actually more of a YouTube video. It's not an article per se, but I'm sure there are many articles about this subject. So, feel free to, inform yourself in whatever method you like. But I will be leaving links to the two YouTube videos that I have here. The first one it's got the full interview. It's a UFO whistleblower full interview that happened back in early June with David Grush and Ross Coulthart. Um, the interview has other stuff in the video. This is the best one that I was able to find, which is kind of surprising that they really made it difficult to find this video, considering they're allowing this guy to talk about it. So I'm not really sure. If you could find a better video, you know, go for it. But this is the best one I was able to find. It has a few other things in there that's kind of annoying. So you'll have to go into the comments to get the timestamps. And the second video I will upload as well, or not upload, but supply the link for, is a body language analyst reacting to the initial interview. So, um, you guys, I'm sure already know that there was this whistleblower, David Grush, who was part of the military. I think still is part of the military, and he essentially just kind of admitted to the fact that there are aliens, there are alien aircrafts that the governments of the world have known about, especially considering the U.S. government has known about for decades. I think it's going back since the 30s, I believe. He does give a few details, but throughout the whole hour long interview, he doesn't necessarily detail enough to really be considered, in my opinion, a whistleblower. The body language expert that analyzed his interview also said as much. He's like, I don't know why they're calling this guy a whistleblower, because not really stating factual numbers and stats and anything like that. He's kind of just saying, oh yeah, there's aliens, yeah, I've seen them, there's a bunch. And that's kind of the gist of what his interview
I've
is.
seen pictures, basically.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is that he physically hasn't seen anything. He just was able to gather information from other sources. But the gist that I got is that he had never seen anything himself. Like he had never seen the actual ship up front or an alien body. It was more like he read reports or he got secondhand sources from other people telling him that these things existed. Now, maybe these other people were high ups in the intelligence community, but from what I could tell, he had not seen anything himself.
So I know he does say in a few things in here, the body language expert was kind of commenting on that. It kind of stuck with me, is that what he was talking about and what he was able to say is that there are aircrafts and there are made of materials that are not of this earth or are not um, necessarily available to our level of technology right now. Um, he also did state that there were some details he couldn't go into, like elaborate on, and that would be classified. So when the body language expert, heard that, and he's like, "Well, if you can't comment on that, you can comment on this. Like you're doing this interview in general, then that means you're still within the military. They're allowing you to say these things. So more than likely, they coached him like, hey, this is what you can say, this is what you can't say. And if that's the case, then what's the purpose
That
of this?
every I mean, like the with the alien and UFO disclosure, UAP, every freaking documentary, they bring in all these guys, former intelligence guys. They'll give you all this stuff, but when you start pressing them for details, a lot of them say, "Oh, I can't talk about that." Like either they're being allowed to say stuff, or they know if they say certain things, like they're gonna get in trouble, get killed, or thrown in jail or something. That's always been like the game with all this stuff. And then when this guy came out, everybody uh, with this latest hearings they just had this past week. It was been leading up to this in the UFO community and the UFO Twitterverse and everything. People were like going to this, and then this guy came out, with his whistleblower status, and he just been saying, he basically said, like you said, no, stuff that we all kind of knew, but he's not giving details. Like, and he's like, "Well, I saw pictures of it, and when I was working in the intelligence, they did this and this, and it's been going on forever." Like, we know all that shit. Like, we want specifics and details, and all these guys, they never do that. And especially if this guy has this whistleblower classification, so he's protected under the law from certain things. Like, I thought he was gonna say more, and I was kind of disappointed. He's just like, "Yeah, we got uh, non-human bodies, and we've been retrieving multiple ships or whatever you want to call them." But okay, we kind of already know all that shit because we've heard other people say that there's nothing new here. So, but again, they didn't give out detail. Like, he didn't give details when they were pressing him in that 1 hour interview. He didn't really say much to confirm that. He just like, I saw pictures of it. That's basically what he said. Like, well, shit, I seen pictures too, but I don't know if the pictures are real or not.
Now,
Exactly.
now, do you guys think this is enough to hear somebody talk about it, or do you still need to see pictures and see evidence, or do you take people's like this word, as the truth?
Well, because he's not really saying too many
He's saying
details.
generalities, yeah.
Yeah, I could believe that. Yeah, I've always thought like, yeah, there has to be aliens. Like I've always thought that, and more recently, like as an adult, I thought there is a likelihood that there have been alien communications with the governments for many, many years, and it's just going to be suppressed and people aren't going to hear about it. So he's just kind of saying, yeah, it's true. There are aliens, and that's not anything surprising to me. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but give me
Yeah.
details, because he's not really a whistleblower if all you're doing is going out there, driving the narrative the way the government wants you to drive it. Then you're just a government agent. You're not a whistleblower. When you're a whistleblower, you're going to be saying the cold hard truth, regardless of what the person you're talking about or the organization you're talking about thinks of it, whether they like it or not. You're going to be like, this is the information. When you're a whistleblower, you're blowing the whistle on like actual real information and things
Yeah.
that matter. And so he's not saying any of
Yeah.
that. And when the body language expert at one point in the video that I watched, it's only like 40 minutes, but he kind of goes through. He's like, he mentions why he's doing this, because you have to wonder, like, well, what's the purpose of this? If you're not going to really share anything, well, what are you even doing this for? And he mentioned something that really stuck out to me. And I couldn't shake it off. I was like, okay, I think this is what this is about. And it seems like a darker, like ulterior motive. So he's saying, oh, yeah, I want to unite the human people. We're all in this together. We're all going to be going against these aliens. And I'm just like, it just like a light bulb like blew up like a flash. And I was like, okay, he's talking like a globalist agenda here now. He's talking to me. It sounds like, remember back in the day when we were hearing about the Amero and we were hearing about the North American Union or whatever it was going to be. And that was already just a baby step to get to the global union, where there's a global currency, a global government, and everybody's got the mark of the beast and all the other conspiracies
The
combined.
Chacons.
Yeah. So when he started saying that, I just started thinking in that direction. Well, what do you guys think, though?
Again, it's I've seen 100 of these guys, ex-military, on a bunch of different documentaries, and they all reinforce the same stuff. And then when you tell them for details, they're like, "Yeah, I don't want to get into that. I could get in a lot of trouble." And that's where they leave it at. So, and then the other thing, a lot of Freedom of Information Act requests from these investigators, they all come out with these documents from the 50s and the 40s, even up to the 60s, where they have reports saying that they've communicated and stuff like that, or they receive messages with other beings. And I think the best one is the CIA had a report. It got a FOIA request, and they released it saying that they received a message. They sent it to these scientists. They found out it was a math equation. They answered it and they responded, and then they got another response with another math thing, and like that's where it ended. And then the everything else on the report was blacked out. So I mean, and that's in black and white, something from the 50s. And like we're like, how did they receive the message? They really don't give you that detail, but it's the government knows, it's just like always how much they're gonna share, or what they want you to let you know. And that's the thing. And then they got these private contractors where they work. It ain't like just NASA now. They got private contractors like Boeing and all these skunk works. They have built spaceships for the government, and some of them, when they came out, or their deathbeds, are like, yeah, we built stuff that sends stuff throughout the universe. It's just they're never gonna tell you, because I think one of the CEO of Skunkworks said, like, we've built the ship that can take ET home. Like, we've done it. And this is like in the 90s. So I mean, and then he died like a couple years later. He did that at a presentation at like one of the colleges, and like, and that's like how much they let you know. And then like, you don't hear nothing about it ever again.
Yeah, I don't know if these guys they come out with information, but then do they feel the pressure from
Yeah,
the government or other people, and so they stop talking?
yeah,
I,
they
yeah,
get suicided.
yeah, because to me, I, to be honest, I probably wouldn't say anything just for fear of something happening, getting death threats to not only me to my family and stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I could be a whistleblower,
Dude,
even with all these protections that they allegedly give you.
like the Bob Lazar guy, you know about him, right? This is the first guy. He came out on Geraldo about Area 51 back in the day. He did a interview. He went on Joe Rogan. They did a documentary on him. He was talking about when they vet you, they do all this stuff to see if you're like not gonna go crazy and talk. And then he was talking about when you work at these places, they monitor everything you do. They record your phone call. This is like 80 shit, right? And he said that the CIA people told him, like, your wife's banging your friend and all this.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he's
Oh
like, what?
man.
Like, yeah, like just to let you know, like, we know what the fuck's going on. And then they came out, they found out he was taking people to show some of the ships in the middle of the night, and that's when he got a little paranoid, and like he fucking bounced. And then at the work, people saying he never worked there, he's crazy, he's a con man. Then they start spinning this whole thing like this guy's like, he's a con man. And that's usually what they do. And again, like Noel said, the body language guy with that and that information, it's always the same thing. It's nothing. Nobody's ever going to give out details or show any. It's just they interviewed the guy. He goes, yeah, this, and this. Okay, I've heard all this shit before. What else do you got? Show me something, a paper or some type of document or a video or anything. And then even when you do it, people say, oh, that's all fucking deep fakes and stuff. Like y'all
The-
seen the alien interview, right? That home video. Nobody's ever debunked that thing. They just say, oh, it's some shit that it's a puppet. That's how they say. And But all these experts say all the things on the screen, DNI levels, time, like that's all stuff that they do when they record and interrogate people. What they do, that's all like that makes sense.
Yeah, with all this graphical improvements, how much of, even if they did show something, how many people will rebuke it and be like, nah, that's just somebody putting some CG in there and making it look like this.
Yeah, especially now, right? Because the age that we live in, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy, and it's gotta, unless like an alien lands in front of a ship lands in front of the White House where people can record, and then people will still say, "Oh, it's that hologram shit, the blue thing that they do where they can project holograms,
Right. Well, they brought
stuff
back
like
Michael
that."
Jackson and stuff.
Yeah, and people are still gonna be questioning that.
Yeah, man, we'll have to see how this develops, but I don't just, I don't think they have good intentions for us. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the news. With, I don't know if you've seen, there's more UFO sightings now than in the last like 10 years, dude. And
Right.
just in the past couple like months, I'm just like, wow, I'm thrown aback by that because I mean, the last 10 years, everybody was like, if you even mention aliens, people are like, "Oh, you're crazy. Where's your tinfoil hat? Like you're a conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean?" And now people are like, "Oh yeah, it's fucking on TikTok everywhere and shit." And
Yeah.
people, I think there's more to it. There always is, man. So we'll see how it develops.
Yeah, the other weird part is that a lot of them are coming out of the water, and
That's the new thing. Yeah.
yeah, I've seen new things even over Lake Michigan that supposedly it's a hotbed for alien, observations and whatnot. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I wish the aliens would come and then they would show, what's a hotbed to an Illinois, then Mothman, and then they bring Bigfoot with them. Like, yeah, man, these are like our homies and shit. When they land. But
As long as they tell me when to say sell AMC,
yeah,
I'm all
like,
good.
yeah, man, thanks for letting us. Like, why don't you boost the AMC stock, bro? Um, but we want to thank y'all guys for listening. This is stuff that we talked about. It's a good video article this week. So let us know what you guys think at ffnquestions@gmail.com. Again, we want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Twitter on the Freeform Network. Send your questions, suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Let us know what you guys seen, any type of paranormal stuff, cryptoology, UFO. Send us your videos, links, stories, whatever at ffnquestions@gmail.com. We'll be glad to share them on the show because I like that stuff. I know Danny, I don't know, Noel seems into it. So we would like to, I like to share that. I read that story. And then don't forget to like our apps, Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify. We're on anything, however you consume podcasts, we're on it. Whatever we do, like, share, helps us out, and helps us out immensely. In Freeform Radio, we got Danny.
Yes, sir, man. I'm hungry. I bought a frozen home run in pizza. Thinking about trying it out, see what it is, man.
It's good, man. We got Noel.
Hey, thank you all for listening, everybody. You have a safe night.
And it's all good. Andy, want to thank you for listening. Hit us up next time, and you guys have a good week.
That was cool, Dad.